Alright, so the milling belt, variable speed belt, is finally here. This doesn't look like a variable speed belt to me. At least not the old one I had. But the part number's right, so I'm hoping it's compatible. I really hope so, because this took like 3 months to get here from apparently the slow boat from USA. It left US like 2 months ago, went to Japan, spent like a week in there, not a week, a month in there, and it finally showed up. So I'm really hoping it's the right part, because, oh god, 2 months without a mill? It's tough, guys. It's very tough. So I'm really hoping this is the right one, but to me it just looks like a toothed belt. But DCJD 3890, that's the right part number, so I'm hoping it's the right belt. Okay, so pulled up the parts manual. It gives me DCVS 38890, DCJD 3890. I think it's the correct replacement. And the website I looked at had the Chevrolet label, which is the mill I'm doing this on, and that the replacement belt, because the other belt's apparently the old style, is this belt. So I'm gonna go slap it on and see how that feels. Okay, so here's my mill as it stands. Been like this for like 2 months because of waiting for that bloody belt. But I'm just gonna check that the belt kind of fits that taper and the variable speed disc. To me that feels pretty solid. And yeah, it looks like it's the exact taper fit for that. Okay, so when I was disassembling this, I could not get enough pressure down on this to use these 2 screw holes to compress the spring. That's how they recommend that you take this out. I've got plenty of body weight, but I couldn't put enough body weight on this thing, so I just gave it up, took the cover off, and then just knocked the motor off, which came off just fine. Since this is in the most compressed position, I'm gonna have to put the belt on while the belt is in its innermost position on the drive side. I put new bearings pretty much everywhere except in the motor, because coil springs scare me. And well, it says it was rebuilt five years ago. Majority of the problem in the clacking, the main reason I'm redoing this is because inside here, this is the back gear housing, there was more chips in here than there was oil. I mean grease. I don't know how it got to that point. I don't really care. It's back together, better, it's clean. I put fresh new machine grease in it. Good enough for me. Safe working conditions. I should really think these things through. LPS3. Sorry for everything else. Rates a very fine cut of things like and it doesn't go well. All machines do. Just take all of that stuff. Now I gotta figure out how to position this plate so I can actually bolt these in. Because this is quite difficult. And that's some big ends, so I should point this out. There you go, that's so easy. I just screws I replaced with first because it's a little easier to get some of this around. And I believe the torque was on the manual for about 2 ohms, so. I'll put the 1.5 ohms for you because it's drain cost of so that's the strongest thing we'll be trying to do. And next there's a bolt set. Which I think are these. Okay, so here's the actual challenge. This motor is incredibly heavy. So I took it off, it was running fine, bearings feel great. I'm gonna do is just give that surface a light coat of LPS because it's rusting. Just don't want to get anything on the actual sliding surfaces. These are nice and pristine and clean. Bit of rust, but what doesn't have a bit of rust? So to lift that, I think I'm gonna jog the table all the way that way, bring my chair here, and lift it up on here. The only problem is I need to put it in and slide the belt in here at the same time, so that's gonna be tough. Okay, problem. Because the spring isn't compressed, the belt isn't fitting on. I keep struggling at this for a while, but if I can't figure it out in 10 minutes, I'll give up on it just for now. Okay, nope, no dice. I should have checked this before I put the belt in. But the belt basically sits just proud of the gap here. So what I actually need to do is find a way to compress the spring. Looks like it might be a job for a coil spring thingy that you use for car suspensions. Don't have one of those. I don't want to buy a cheap one because I've seen those break. But that's probably better than what I have in mind. Okay, so this might be an absolutely batshit idea, but this is a bearing separator, and using that I can actually bear on this just enough. If I can get that set up in there and just get someone to give me a hand, or I find a way to maybe ratchet strap this. As I say that, that sounds like a horrible idea, but worth a shot. This bearing's worth what, $5, so I don't mind if I ruin it. I can just yank it out and just buy a new one, put a new one in.
easy enough.
Whatever spring rate the some bitches, one ratchet strap, one $5, and I mean I paid $5 for 2 of them, is not gonna cut it. So I'm gonna try and adding one more. Well, I'll be damned. It does work. Huh. Now I just gotta figure out how to do that once I put the motor inside. You know. Alright. Come on, let's do this. Yeah, got like 3-4 millimeters of space, so I think it seems feasible. Maybe I'll grab some of the bigger ratchets, the Sony Raider for 150Ks. Okay, this bad idea is working. Just not the idea. Ah. That strap isn't pulling. Why do I keep it there? Why do I regret every consultation happens? Right, let's go. Oh. Ah, my nozzle. Steady. Oh. Oh, I just... Yeah. These are just only for plugging on muscle anymore. So I'm trying to move there. Oh. So, I'll crush that. Take off. That's always a good song. Please note, this whole thing can grievously wound you, so don't do it. Ready? First one. Oh, what's the size? Oh, I didn't get it on. Open. Oh, this is better. Like that for the rest of the machine. This whole alpha cylinder. Bearing still okay. But I'll now get a new one for the next thing. The rate is 96. I need to make this a switch. Reach. The bolt will pull the spring down. We'll put more 10. So, we'll tap that. Just not get that before. And this. Should we go first? Alright. It's so close, it's so far. It might not be enough. So I'm going to go. Oh shit, I don't have any forms. These are surveying now. Just definitely enforced. Okay, so in Texas, as always, for tools, decent enough condition, and that's going to go down by and forward a bit. I'll probably take off now. And if I take off, it's going to go that way. So, it's not going up. So yeah, just shoot by going up. And I'm just gonna go. Oh, should I 10? Problem. I can't get this one, so I'm going to place on this board. So what I'm going to do, I'm losing on this side, I'm going to open there, set this line, I'm going to control. Should say there, hopefully it's set on the game, that's probably what I was waiting for. Just need to, yeah, that pinching me, pinching off there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to position, I cannot let go of this. Yeah, there we go. Well, I can down there for this whole thing later. Is that? Yeah, nice. Okay, so far, this is necessary to the angle scoring to get a more account of vision. Problem. It actually has a fixed line. Oh, no, everything falling in place now. Okay, get it out of there. Alright, right.
Also the world's worst unlocking ratchets ever, apparently. Just giving myself as much room as I can in here by opening up the front set of variable discs. I'm hoping this will be a bit easier with that new method. And if it's still impossible after that, I don't think a coil spring compressor would actually fit in here. So I have to figure out how to take this bearing off, which is a bit of a pain because the spring wants to move whenever you put something on it. And then figure it out from there. Anyways, let's go. I should have remembered this. Very tight quarters in there. There's no room for the bearing separator. I think I'm just going to take the bearing out, see where that goes. If that spring goes out of control and kills me, here's the thing, that's just compressing the spring and the plate underneath the bearing, not actually pulling up on the bearing itself. What I need to actually do is get a puller on there, not a separator, I think. I've tried to get a puller on here before, but it did not work out so well.
It's ever so slightly better, but I need like 5 mils more. And before you say it, no, I cannot use this plate as my puller because there's a circlet between the bearing and this plate. That's what useful. Sorry. So, let's see. That looks nice, it looks so. I don't know if any of those are non-cancer cells. Okay, see if I can number 500. Sure this will work. Oh, there's just a proof of concept. Oh, no, it's not working. My idea was to use this strap to strap down on the string. Actually, I might get the bolt and toss some of the Jimmy, you want to I'm going to just cut. There's something to the right hand then. So I'll give it one twist before I pull it. Otherwise, it's just like off. I'm pulling the same sort of second all the way over on this one. See better? Okay. As you can see, the keyway is pretty chowdered up, all things considered, on this motor. But yeah, you can see the slope in it. So once it's spinning, it's pushing against that edge, and it's gonna go up and down. That. Yeah, it is what it is. It's unfortunate. But that's already the second keyway in the shaft, and I don't really want to put a new shaft in this thing, or it's fine for what I use it for, which is not very heavy. I'm a pretty light user in terms of milling stuff. And hopefully in the future I can have most of the work done with a water jet. Got plans to bring in a water jet in here, a small Protomex, and even a small CNC mill.
And at that point, this mill, I'm not gonna get rid of it, but it will probably just be delegated to squaring up stock, doing the odd holes, drilling, that kind of thing. Anyway, that's compressed. That means this can go up. That means a belt can go in. I'm gonna get everything a bit of a clean now, because it's filthy, and put a bit of silicone on the sliding surfaces just to help it, and see, go from there. You. I'm not gonna take that key, just in case. Well, I'm gonna get it clean. I should take that key out. I don't want to circle trick business. And I'm gonna circle this. I have one. Oh, conveniently not in the circlets box. At least that one didn't go flying off somewhere. I just don't like to go into the water and damage seals or anything. So what's up, Theo? The more damage it goes. I'm gonna take a guess as to which side is less worn. Definitely this side, so I'm gonna use that side. And I was really lazy today. Watched Community all day, and the bearing shop closed at 12. It's already 4, so I don't think I'm gonna have this back together by till Monday. I'm gonna be taking this as a job. I need to be more serious about how I'm Yep, come from. Bearing shop doesn't open till Monday. Don't actually feel like waiting till Monday. This bearing actually feels okay. I did crush the seals a little bit. But it's not in as gritty or dusty environment as this thing used to be in, so I'd actually just slap it on till it gives out anyway. See? Don't hear scoring, can't feel any play. Just the seals are a bit It's only spinning at like 1500 RPMs. Right, next up is to remember what I did with that. Oh no, never mind. Okay, the cap's still on there. Is to put this over there. Now look through the manual, and the manual specifies that I should run the RPM down to the lowest when taking this out. It does not specify at what RPM I should set it. I think what I'm gonna do is, because this is the only side with the springs, gonna make sure that I run the RPM down as possible so the belt is in here as much as possible before I let go of these screws. Hopefully that's the right thing to do. If not, I think I'll find out really quick and have to wait another 2 months for a bloody belt. Manhandling this isn't as easy as it seems. According to that plate, this weighs 30 kgs. No. That's right. You upside down. There we go. I don't even have to pinch myself. It's always fun. Okay. I'm gonna try and wiggle that in. Okay, bounce this forward. So you can possibly do a thing. By forward and backwards. Okay. Next, I'm trying. Wait, what's in space? That helped. Watch. Here we go. Oh my gosh. The belt is in. Okay. Now, how these variable speeds usually work is basically when you, well, okay, this is really simple. I'm sure you figured this out. One side goes bigger, one side gets smaller, and vice versa. Alright? Currently, both sides are at its widest point. So I'm going to mount the motor, and make sure the belt is in proper position, and release that tension. Now I'm gonna run the front drive side. I'm gonna run this side as down as possible, so this side as open as it can possibly be. Oops. Alright, so the front side is as tight as it goes. That means the belt set is the most outward position. So I'm going to go in and position the rear belt, and then, actually no, I'm going to do the motor mounts now. Manual calls for about 2 blood veins popping out amount of torque. As I'm tightening, I'm occasionally checking the tension of the belt on the drive side, because I just want to make sure that it gets in there as tight as possible. I don't know if it matters, but it'll make me feel good about it. Still pretty slack. The bolts are free, but the belt is still slack, so I don't know what that means for me. I don't know if that means I gotta try and tighten the oil spring again. It might, in which case I may go back inside, cry, come back tomorrow and try it again. Crying. Okay, the belt is actually lodged in between the two vari discs of the of the motor side. I actually think it's in deeper than the variable speed allows it to be normally. So I'm just gonna get a light in there and see. No, that actually looks pretty okay to me. Guess the only thing left is to start the spindle. Oh, I'll be honest, I don't know if it looks okay or not, but you know, taking an educated guess at most. Just put the bearing in very slightly. Still spins. You can feel the grease wearing out, but this is an easy bearing to fix, sort of. Actually, just gonna put a bit of silicone on the inside race, just so if I do have to take it out, it'll come off a bit easier. And of course, what else would you use for pressing bearings? Not the fly press. I use a vise.
Oh, it slides out with my finger, but it won't go in. You kidding me? The hell? Either the race is worn or the bearing is. Likely both. You may be thinking, why did he not clean this thing up a little bit more if he was taking it all apart? Well, surprise, this is after cleaning up. Mind you, not the bottom part, but most of the head's actually about 300% cleaner than it used to be. Can believe it, will not believe it, could not care less, but trust me, this was way worse than that you see now. Like, short of taking everything off, sandblasting and then repainting it. Alright, second to last thing to do is just put all the panels back on. And I'm doing that in hopes that everything is actually fine. So yeah, let's do this. What? Oh, yes. This one, goes in front. I guess I shouldn't have taken that bend out of it. Oh. If I hear that noise, I'll take it off, bend it back, slap it back on. Okay, I'm gonna do a little cleanup because the workspace is really messy, especially the mill table. And then I'm gonna start it up because I would like a cleaner workspace, even if I have to pull all these tools out again. You don't have to take advice from me, but organized workspace is a lot nicer to work in than a messy one. Every tool you have should have a place that it should go back to. Nothing should be getting passed from a bench to another flat surface to another flat surface. Okay, most of that stuff is actually just gonna get thrown away, so you know, at a time. Alright, like those parallels, they don't belong there. They actually belong on the edge of the mill table. That's their permanent spot. I've moved there because I don't have a designated spot. That's not good. I should have a drawer somewhere that I can put all my milling bits in. That drawer is full with cutters and whatnot, but yeah. Okay. I know this isn't exactly the best example of that, and I'm trying to live with that advice in my mind as well. But if you have somewhere that where every one of your tools can go, like this is my projects, okay, so these are the tools and the hardware that I need for this project, this exact project. That's cool. So this stuff is gonna sit on my bench for now, and when this project is over, all of those have a home somewhere, okay, and I'll be really happy when that's over because I'll have a bit of a free bench space. All of this stuff is projects halfway finished. After they're done, quite a few of these measuring instruments can go away. Only reason they're out is because I'm starting to make some slip joints, right? So everything should have a space for them to go back to. This wrench doesn't go anywhere. It actually, because it fits that, and like a bunch of other stuff on the mill. That lives there. So does a hammer. But if your tool doesn't have somewhere to go, you should either find it a home, or you should think about, before you buy another tool, whether or not you really have space for it. Because if you're in a small shop like me, actually this isn't a small shop, I've seen small shops, like a shed shops before, and space is a premium. And messy space, it's not fun to work in. So should there be a bearing and a cap here? The answer to that is yes. Do I have one? The answer to that is no. I might make one day. It seems relatively simple, but this is a critical part. But there's actually like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's like 8 bearings in this row alone. It's probably bad form, but I'm just gonna run it like this. It didn't come with one, okay? I didn't lose it, I don't think. So, cross my fingers. Got my power connected. Gonna start it in a minute. Okay, so here's a moment of truth. One of a couple things that might happen. One, it runs beautifully, which is what I'm hoping for. 2, there's some weird noise coming from somewhere in the head telling me that I screwed something up. 3, the motor or the control cabinet will let the smoke out and I must burn something because I put something in wrong again. So I'm just gonna do a couple preliminary checks. I think I'll be alright. Check 1. Can still drive the spindle in high gear with the gear engaged. Spindle spins freely in neutral, as it should. And in low gear, it's not going anywhere. So here's open. Alright, turning the 3-phase power on. 3-phase power is on. Lamps on, that tells me there's power to the machine. Which shows me there's a lot more rust on this than I remember. Yeah. You expect, you haven't worked in a while. LPS 3. Alright, here goes. Something's really chattery in there. Okay, so as I was moving it up and down, something gave. And I think that was a variable speed belt settling into place. Left the washer in there for the throw bar. Hold on. Maybe that will change something. Okay, so one of the fantastic videos I found about Bridgeport repairs told me to put it into about middle of its range and let it run for about 5 minutes, and I should have a relatively quiet machine. I don't know about that, but I'm gonna let it run for a wee bit and see how that goes. But that sounds like it hates itself now. Packed up pretty full of grease. I don't think my grease gun even has any grease left in it right now. Oh, if it did have anything left in it, not anymore.
Okay, I followed all the instructions and I don't know what went wrong. But I don't know if you can see it, but the belt has come out of the variable speed on the drive side. What the fuck? Okay, this belt is hot, like uncomfortable to touch hot. Actually, I have no idea what I should do. I feel really lost. I ordered the right parts. I did everything the manual said. So go up to there. Should go around and come up. Okay, which shows I should. And that just clears the step. Check it out. Let's try. Yeah.
Alright, so the VFD is here. This is a Kinder KD330 00220T4. It's a cheap Chinese VFD I bought. 415 in, 415 out. 2.2 kilowatts, which is exactly what that motor is. And I should be able to hook it up fairly easily. Now, one mistake I've made is that I bought this from an HVAC place. Didn't think to check about IP rating or anything like that. So, this is not IP nothing. And in a machine shop, that's bad. Like, real bad. Because I've got coolant fucking everywhere and chips flying. I'm hoping it's insulated well enough. Also, I can't quite figure out where to put this thing. There's not really a good spot. I mean, I'd love to put it like here, but I feel like I just get lots of chips in there, and I need more room on the side for ventilation. Could have it like this, but that just seems silly. I might actually put it here. I know that looks just absurd, but that might be the best choice I have. So, I'll start taking the wires apart and see where that leads me. Probably down a very, very deep hole. I have noticed that the controller comes out, which is very handy. I think this was meant for like a wall mount for, you know, obviously. And they gave me a rather long cable, and I can make these Cat 5 or Cat 6 cables at home anyway. So if I want a longer one, I'll make a longer one. So even if it's a little bit away from the machine like there, I can have the controller here and just velcro it on the side or something. Just remembered, I don't think I actually showed the mill running after the new belt install. So the belt installation went a bit weird. There's a step in one of the pulleys, so I either need to take out the brake or machine down the shaft on the motor side. I'm not machining a motor shaft because I don't have a cylindrical grinder, and I don't really want to take this off because then I'd have no brake. That disc is what the brake's acting on. So unfortunately the belt is sitting slightly crooked like that, this way. Not as bad as I am making it seem. But I'll see how it goes. If it's really bad, I'll take the brake out. And I have noticed the belt is pretty loose, so I may have to step down a couple inches or see if I can add a tensioner of some sort, but there isn't much room in here for a tensioner, as you can see. But anyway, quite as a church mouse, except for that little slinging noise. I know where that's coming from. One of the bolts holding the brake down is the head is touching the brake shoe very slightly, but that should wear off anyway. I mean, one material's gotta give before the other thing does. Won't matter. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna turn everything off, chuck this cap back on the motor side, make sure the bearings are right. It's just a bit stiff, that's all. And get around to start taking the wires off. Alright, so I think actually there might be space in here. strong maybe, but I can't get a good look in there until I get this out of the way. My shop's so cramped, unless I move stuff, I can't really get to anything. So let's see if I can pull this out in one go. But again, I think that might be a strong maybe. Nope, that's way too heavy. Alright, time to start taking the stuff off. Start with the oil. Rust. Only problem is I blocked my only way out of here, so what are the chances I'll get this all done in one day? I say close to zero. Alright, so I think it might fit in here. I need to actually get in and have a look though. There's more relays in there than I thought would need to be on this small machine, to be honest. Okay. I am gonna hate myself when I have to put this all back together. Anyways. So I've already stabbed myself with the mill handle and this, so my back is sore. Anyway, getting in. Right, there we go. So, as you can see, I need a plug or just tape over this thing. And I have found that
a crusty little wiring diagram, which is awesome. You don't always see this. I think the rest of the diagram's behind this thing. Hold on. And while I'm in here, I think I'm gonna try and see if I can just de-rust some of these bits. Here you go. Single one motor, 2 HP or 3 HP coolant pump. Now, I think this thing does have a coolant. Okay, so line 1, 2 and 3, I can see that coming in there. This is a lot of wires, guys. Okay. Actually, this makes more sense. So main switch is the one on the far left. Huh. Okay, so I'm looking at this. So I've got the 3 fuses here. Yep. R1, 30 and R1. Okay. TR300, which is a transformer. Yep, I've got that. Weirdly enough, it's hooked up to the 450 volts, but it runs anyway, so it's fine. Now this main switch is not there, does not exist. KM1 is this contactor, which is the on and off switch. KM2, that's the reverse switch. I don't know what KM4 does. Okay. So what I need to do is trace the output wires to the motor. I'm not. There's no room for it either in this one. Good flip. So I think I'm gonna mount it here. That should be okay. I can't fit it in the electronics cabinet, there's not enough space.
I'm gonna bowling that. I seem to may have broken into the base housing. But that is okay. Not like I'm using cold in this anyway. Right. That's nice and perfect. Might go through craftsmanship. So the ship is nasty business to sell. You guys machine tools and you get yourself some nice anyways. One of the bits I know about this right, and pick all these chips up. At least I think there's more chips in powder, actually. This is chippy or calculating from the field. Alright, so I gotta cut this wire. I'm gonna cut it about here, and there should be enough room on the upper wire. Yeah, about here-ish. So I need room to trim and put terminals on. This is the biggest set of nippers I have. And I need to cut that sumbitch conduit. Just mark it out. So I want the wire to come in at about there. So I want a bit of slack. Power here. However. So N is RST and UVW on this side. Black is U, blue W, and brown V. So black, brown, and I mean seriously, do they all have to say start with the same body? Huh? U. W. Brown is V. Okay, so that means on this side UVW, so this is RST. So I need to just strip this about. Okay, that's a good sign. Lights on. Now, here's the VFD controller. And VFD should come on when I press that switch, but not turn the motor on. Or let the smoke out. Okay, VFD is on. It's powering up. I don't know what to say. I'm actually really fucking excited. I need to actually program this, so I went through the manual like a good boy and found a couple things that shows me that's the jumpers. Ah, the functions. Okay, so I want to set the maximum frequency as set to 50 by default, and I bring that up to 90, and the lower limit I want to set it to 20, not at 0 hertz. So if I do this program function 0 function 2, okay, so function 010. Yeah, I'll figure it out. So here's the beginning. Program F0. Enter. It brings me. Okay, so I gotta bring it down to F0. Enter. F0 10. Enter 50. You have to hold this down for a while. Oh my god, what am I? Hourly? Oh shh. What if I press enter? Nope. Okay, so I've got no choice but to just hold this down. Oh god, I'm going up to 90 from 50. It's gonna take a while. Does it save? Yes it does, okay. I don't know who really needs point something, 0.00 over hertz in their motor control, but that's not really me. Okay, after having some chat with some of my mates, I'm just gonna leave it at 75 hertz. The motor's only rated for up to 60 hertz, and it's only a E insulation, so at 75 hertz it's already 25% overload, so I'm gonna leave it at that. If I brought it up to 90, that's 50% overload. I risk overloading my motor way too quick. So let's bring that to function 0-14, which is the minimum hertz, and then I'm gonna set that to 20 because I don't want the motor to run below 20 hertz, you know, just in case I make a bonehead mistake. And that should help me just make sure I don't burn the motor when I'm starting it up. Now that's the only ones I'm gonna mess with. Except I'm just gonna check function F2 dash 2. So 400 volts. Hold on, 400 and oh my eyes. Okay, hold up. It should be 415. I think this is designed for. Wow, that's going really low. But it should be 415 on here too. Okay. Oh, that's maximum is still at 50 hertz, so that's weird. Maybe I messed with the wrong parameters. This is my first time programming with BFD. So this says here maximum frequency, so set that to 75. Yeah, 0 hertz to F0-10, which should be F0-10 is set to 75. Maybe I couldn't save it. No, I think I did, so that should go up, but let's check. Function 0, function F8. Huh. $75. Okay. Maybe it just needs a reset. Still only going up to 50. Frequency source of upper limit F0 to 12. Frequency upper limit 012. Oh, there we go. Okay, so then I also need to change upper limit, lower limit, F12, upper limit. Okay, I think that's done. Now, let's see. Let's let the smoke out. Okay. Now I want to see what it does when I turn the contactor off. So I've got a VFD in my grinding room, so let me just turn this off. Hold on. I've got a VFD in the grinding room, and it's got two power switches, and there's one on the VFD itself. The one on the VFD turns it off, and it goes into a low voltage mode where it starts dumping the currents left over in the capacitor. This one doesn't have an off switch. So if I go off, is that gonna not go into low current mode? So I'll turn that off with the contactor. Yup. That's... It didn't give me an LV, but I don't know whether or not this thing does. It stayed on for a period of time, so that tells me that it did go into low low voltage mode, which I like. So I'll leave it at that. I'm gonna see if that high-pitched noise on startup at low frequency is normal, but man, whoa. The motor wasn't always this hard to turn, was it? Oh, it's in low gear. Oh, that makes sense. There we go. Okay. But that is a success. Whoa.